You know something? Liars have one job, and that job is to keep lying. Because if they ever stop lying, then the whole circus tent would collapse. And that is precisely why Jamal Bryant must lie to make you hate Charlie Kirk. Because if his church members, if they ever heard the truth for themselves, right, they might actually learn something from Charlie. Like if they had went and actually listened to Charlie Kirk debate, I can guarantee you that they would disavow Jamal Bryant and absolutely leave his church and never look back. You have come for my brother, someone you know absolutely nothing about, and now I am here to set the record straight and to expose you for the lying, shriveled up, California looking raisin hellion that you are. Oh, I've got even more time today. So let's get into this. Grace and peace, you guys. Welcome back to Unshakable with April Chapman, where we discuss all things social, cultural, political, and theological from a biblical perspective. I'm your host, April Chapman, and welcome to today's show. I want to be in better spirits, and it's been incredibly difficult for me to make content these past few days. I took a few days off because I just needed to wrap my mind around and to make sure I was hearing what I was hearing. The question that I want to talk to you about is, or answer the question. The question that I want to answer for you today is why Jamal Bryant must lie. So I don't want to spend a whole lot of time. We're just going to get straight into it. Yes, I have some very sharp words for Jamal Harrison Bryant, the open mouth Archbishop of Anarchy and Antichrist rhetoric that he spews over there at Stillbirth Cathedral. Now, why does Jamal Bryant have to lie about Charlie Kirk? Because he absolutely is lying, and we're going to get into the clip. But before we do, let me just answer that point blank. Jamal Bryant has to lie about Charlie Kirk because if people in his church actually went and listened to Charlie debate, they would realize very quickly that Charlie wasn't some racist white supremacist, but that he was a gospel-centric voice who stood boldly for the truth. And if they realized that, I'm sorry, Jamal's hustle would be completely over, and he can't have that. This man thrives on keeping his people perpetually grieved, keeping them perpetually ignorant, and perpetually dependent on him. I have never seen, in all of my years of being Black and a professing and a nominal cultural Christian before that, I have never seen the level of evil and ignorance coming out of the pulpits that we have seen over the past few days. This man, Jamal Bryant, is literally on the Democrat Party payroll, and his job is to keep folks in bondage to the lie that Democrats have their best interests at heart, and so therefore, Democrats need Jamal. They need him because Jamal is a mouthpiece for Marxist rhetoric dressed up in very, very ugly designer clothes, because nothing screams louder than a clown dressed up in Gucci preaching heresy all stitched together with an ashy fake Black preacher voice. He knows, and Democrats know, that's what'll get the Black folks riled up. So let us put and push this caricature forward, and he will push our agenda. And it's working. But let me add this. Democrats are bleeding voters. Okay, people are jumping ship from that godless party left and right. And so Jamal's voice is the sound of desperation. All of that vitriol you hear coming out of his pulpit, that is the sound of desperation. They are oh so desperate. And they will search for any willing propagandist who will sell out their own mama or their own children and do something really strange for some change, the Democrat Party has effectively placed a digital battery in Jamal Bryant's back, and he ain't nothing but a leftist progressive whore and completely incapable of telling the truth. This is why he gets in his pulpit and lies. I'm sorry. He's a horrible person. And what I'm about to show you is going to prove just how sick, just how twisted, and just how horrible he really is. Take a look and roll this clip.
I'm concerned about all of these Negro preachers who've been, in fact, talking about that this man that was killed was the answer to Christ in the earth. Y'all ain't saying nothing. They having moments of silence in black churches all over the country over a man that was racist and a white supremacist. How dare you compare him to Martin Luther King? The only thing that Charlie, Chris, and Martin Luther King got in common is both of them was killed by a white man. After that, they got nothing else in common.
So you heard the wickedness coming out of this man's mouth. And the sad part is that there are a bunch of black ignorants who actually believe the foolishness that this man was spewing. Jamal, he has to shield his people from the true gospel of Jesus Christ. This is why he takes time out on Sunday to preach this mess. There's no gospel going forth at stillbirth, and we know this to be true because the minute you compare what Charlie Kirk proclaimed to what Jamal Bryant preaches, the contrast is glaring.
Jesus saved my life. I'm a sinner. That Jesus rose from the dead. And I say, how do you know that Jesus rose from the dead? Well, show me another historical piece of a story where so many people willingly died a brutal death for a lie. Every single person around him had everything to lose, and yet they went to the absolute death, from Paul to Peter to the half-brother of James, saying that Jesus is Lord, Jesus rose from the dead. Not to mention, if you were going to fake a story, you would not use female witnesses in the ancient world. In the scriptures, it said that the women were the first one to see Jesus Christ. If you're trying to fake a story, you would never do that. You would say that Jesus is here to save us. Save us from what?
Ourselves. We're dead people walking.
Okay, so you have to tell people about the death first, right?
You're very good at your job. You're very good at your job, sir.
Jesus is a rescue mission.
Yeah.
But you must teach people what you're rescuing them from. Yes.
I got it. I guess. Oh God, that's such a treat. And you're getting these threats. Does it alarm and concern you for your children?
I mean, yes and no. We take proper precautions. That's all I'll say. And we feel confident in that. But also, I mean, my wife is the best person ever, and she's a patriot, and she's a believer, and we don't want to have to be accountable to God when this life passes. And he asks, why did you not trust in me and not fight evil? Because we as Christians are called to fight evil. It's one of the lesser known scriptures, Psalm 97:10. For those of you that love God, you must hate evil.
Yep, amen.
And again, everyone is called to something different in the body of Christ. Some people are called to heal the sick. Some people are called to mend broken marriages. Some people are called to do outright hot gospel teaching. My call is to fight evil and to proclaim truth. That's it.
You could just close your eyes and listen to both of them speak, and the obvious answer to that question will jump out at you. Charlie pointed people to Christ, not to himself, not even to the government. He pointed people to Christ. He pointed people to reconciliation, to God, and then to one another. But more importantly, Charlie talked about living at peace with all men. He challenged young people to do something that's something I ain't never heard Jamal say, and that is marry before you carry, build strong families, work hard, quit begging, honor God with your life. Charlie Kirk had one wife, 0 baby mamas, a good name, respected across the globe, something Jamal Bryant would only dream of having. But meanwhile, Jamal spends his time platforming openly homosexual couples, not once, but more than once, going to their events, affirming and celebrating and apologizing on behalf of the Black church, affirming fornication by platforming another apostate who's trying to make people believe that fornication and sex outside of marriage is not sin. He then pushes a counterfeit gospel of liberation from systems instead of liberation from sin. The fake Christianity that Jamal Bryant preaches is a Christless Christianity. And just to keep it real, it is not Christian at all. It is pagan secular humanism with a pseudo Christian adjacent veneer. So Jamal has to constantly weaponize race and lies because it shields him from accountability. And we are on to you. Oh, I am so on to you, Jamal Bryant. This past Lord's Day, he called Charlie Kirk, as you heard in the clip, a racist and a white supremacist. Totally false. No substantiation of the claim whatsoever. But there is a clip circulating around in the blackosphere where people are claiming that Charlie was racist because of what he said allegedly about Black women. But let's be clear, Charlie didn't attack Black women. He called out 4 specific Black women.
Joy Reid and Michelle Obama and Sheila Jackson Lee and Ketanji Brown Jackson were affirmative action picks. We would have been called the... But now they're coming out...
Those 4?
They're coming out and they're saying it for us. They're coming out and they're saying, I'm only here because of affirmative action. Yeah, we know. You do not have the brain processing power to otherwise be taken really seriously.
Where did he say Black women in there? Where did he say Black women do not have the brain processing power? Well, those women are Black. Bull crap. He's talking about those 4. This is what y'all try to do. This stuff doesn't work on me.
You had to go steal a white person's slot to go be taken somewhat seriously. Play cut 52.
Those 4. And that's why he's going to show who. Who is he showing right here?
But I rise today as a clear recipient of affirmative action.
He's repeating what they said. And he's showing you who he's talking about.
And particularly in higher education. I may have been admitted on affirmative action, both in terms of being a woman and a woman of color. But I can declare that I did not graduate on affirmative action. This is my personal story.
I hear because of action affirmative. She can't even say that. Joy Reid, we know. It's very obvious to us that you were not smart enough to be able to get in on your own. I couldn't make it on my own, so I needed to take opportunities from someone more deserving. You know, this is how arrogant Joy Reid and Ketanji Brown Jackson and Michelle Obama and Sheila Jackson Lee are. They're so narcissistic.
Who is he talking about again? Did he say this is how Black women are? Or did he name off those 4 women right there? And if any of you try to take this out of context by saying, but those are Black women, don't even try to pull that bullcrap. He's specifically talking about 4 Black women. This is easy. It should be easy to understand who he's talking about. But they represent all Black women. No, they don't. None of these women represent all Black women. Because last night, Ketanji Brown don't even know what a woman is, remember?
Ketanji Brown Jackson, Michelle Obama, Sheila Jackson Lee, and old bald-headed Joy Reid. And he called them out for being DEI disasters after they already self-attested on their own accord that they were DEI or benefited from affirmative action or DEI derivative thereof. He never said that Black women lack the brain power to be taken seriously. He didn't say that. He wasn't talking about all Black women. He was talking about those 4 brain dead idiots lack the brain power to be taken seriously. Why? Because the moment you say that it is because of DEI that I got to do this, that, and the third, is the moment that you insult your own self and you put up before your own self the idea that we should question the legitimacy of your intellect or your gift, skill, talent, or ability, because outside of being Black, we don't know what else was it about your resume that made you stand out and made you qualified for the position or the role. And under today's DEI standards, it is proven that it is a lack of skill. And that all it takes is for you to be Black and female, and that gets you enough to push you to the front of the line. So no, I don't take any of those 4 women serious, and I am a Black woman. Why? Because I know how shameful and insulting it is for you to use DEI and then celebrate it as if it's good. The last thing I want to be considered is a DEI hire or someone who benefited from DEI because I have the gifts, the talent, and the ability to work and get what I want based on my merit. Don't hand me anything. What am I, your pet? What am I, a child? So no. He is not racist for saying what he said. It is a lie, and all it is doing is spreading and stirring up hate and division, and I'm pissed off because too many Black folks didn't go to the actual clip to see, well, what did he say? It's no different than they did with Donald Trump, talking about there's good people on both sides. Take the totality of what the man said and see if it bears out to be true. Ketanji Brown Jackson can't even tell you what a woman is. And she's the laughing stock of the Supreme Court right now, even by her leftist peers, to be like, chick, do you even justice? Like, do you even know why we're here? The basis of so many of her arguments make 0 sense, but she's a DEI hire. She's a DEI hire. But the reason why this tactic works so well is because of something that I need to just mention in passing. I think I'm going to do a whole show on this, but ethnic narcissism. You've heard me use the term, and I'm considering doing an entire show on this theory. But ethnic narcissism is the belief that your ethnic identity automatically elevates your intelligence. That's the whole Black girl magic stuff. And I'm a queen and I'm a king. It elevates your status or your moral standing just because you are Black. And people like Jamal, they will inflate the most basic accomplishments and then twist legitimate criticism. They'll twist it and turn that into racism, leaving so many people, especially white folks, just confused, afraid to speak or push back, and therefore they just stay silent. But here, not this chick. No, I'm not the one. Not this Black woman, not today. I am so not afraid to confront this wicked foolishness, and I refuse to shut up and be quiet about it. I refuse. And this is why I applaud Charlie Kirk and what he was able to accomplish, because Charlie refused to bow the knee to any of this foolishness. He didn't care. You can call me a racist, fine, but it doesn't make it any less true. Those 4 women lacked logic and reason and brain capacity to do a whole lot of things. And that may have been insulting. Say it was insulting, and you may not have liked hearing him say that and made you feel some sort of kind of way, but it wasn't racist. He literally just took their words, i.e., I'm a DEI, or I've benefited from DEI and affirmative action, and he exposed it for what it really is, just shameful. And so Bryant has to smear Charlie Kirk because Charlie Kirk exposed so much of who he is, or should I say the inadequacy of all that he is not. Which brings me to my next point. in his rant, there was a contrast made with MLK, and he was upset. Now, don't you dare mention, Charlie. Listen, I want to address this because there are some folks who are comparing Charlie Kirk to MLK. Nope, let's not do that. I will go on record right now. I don't want that comparison. And to me, it's actually an insult. Because MLK, first of all, was not the saint that people made him out to be. He was a deceitful, hoe-chasing pagan masquerading as a pastor. And this is why liberals love him. Liberals love him. Genuine Bible-believing Christians who know the truth about MLK, we don't celebrate him. MLK used agitation and coercion and extortion to achieve social change. Those are all anti-God ideas. Okay, Christians we don't coerce or extort to get people to change. We do what Charlie Kirk did is we engage with ideas. We tear down arguments that raise itself against the knowledge of God. But we don't force or coerce or use extortion to say, if you don't give me what I want, we gonna do this and we're gonna sit at this counter and we're not gonna get up till you give us what we want. And the Black community, to be frank and honest about it, we are worse off 60 years post Martin Luther King's dream, and now we're living a daggone nightmare. So no, I don't agree with the charge of equating Charlie Kirk and MLK. Don't even use them in the same sentence. Charlie used truth of the actual gospel of Christ. He used logic and reason to impact millions. The only valid comparison to MLK is maybe the fact that both men will be remembered. That's it. Now, Charlie's going to be remembered truthfully, not sanitized by leftist lies. That's the difference and the distinction that I would make. The last point that I will make on this topic is that Jamal Bryant is not the only one out here lying, okay? I heard what Jasmine Crockett's pastor said. I heard what he said, Freddie Haynes. I heard what the apostate up in D.C., John Howard Wesley, said about Charlie Kirk. All of these men are evil liars. They are liars. These fake Black ministers, I'm going to tell you what their problem was. They had a problem with Charlie Kirk, and they are angry because they are the type of men who intellectually and mentally, they still have a slave mentality. And because of their slave mentality, they see the white man, any white man, they see the white man as God, and they see him as a parental figure. So they'll claim that they don't, but let's examine their actions. Let's look at their rhetoric. Their actions and their rhetoric say otherwise. Anytime you hear a Black man utter the words about white supremacy, and every time you hear them out here claiming about white supremacy and talking about how much of a threat it is and how much it causes them so much grief and pain, those men are incredibly weak and soft. All of them, Howard John Wesley, Jamal Bryant, Freddie Haynes, and even the local fake urban apologists, Damon Richardson and old chubby back Eric Mason, Isaiah Sassy Tongue Robinson, out here whining and crying about white people every 5 minutes. How weak are you going to continue to be? Aren't you tired yet? This is why I call all of these men jellyback soy boy Negroes, because they spend their entire ministry life, when they're supposed to be out here proclaiming the gospel, they spend their ministry time crying and whining about what white people are doing to them. The white man this and the white man that. How do you sleep at night this obsessed with white folks? Like, don't y'all have wives? Aren't y'all married? I will never understand what provokes a grown man to whine this much about other white people, particularly white men who are doing nothing to them. Doing nothing to them. And I'm going to prove. Let me prove to you that these men are absolutely weak. And I pray, please, clip this section and send it to them. I want you to. I want you to send it to them. And this is why I call all of them the Van Jones, Roland Martin types, because these men are weak because anytime. It doesn't matter. They're so weak and so sensitive. And, it's just really insensitive to be saying what you're saying. I'm going to tell you how weak they are. They are so weak because anytime a white man says something that they don't like, it doesn't matter if it is objectively true, just as much as the sky is blue and dirt is brown. No matter what they say, if that man is not affirming them or patting them on the back or on the head like some little pet, talking to them like they mamas talk to them, they get extraordinarily offended. They are pearl clutching offended. Oh, they'll crash out. The crash out and the tears from these men are so real. Their poor little souls get crushed. And I came up with this analogy to help you understand why I'm saying this. Let me explain it to you like this. This is the black men who look at white men as some sort of godlike figure or paternal figure. It's kind of like you have like this little, like they're the little boy, right? Who, he's been taking art classes. And, his mama paid for him to take art classes because she saw that he had a gift. And she's like, okay, we're going to cultivate little Joey's gift. So Joey taking art classes and he's been making great progress, right? Just doing well. And then one day, because little Joey, he got this propensity to be lazy, right? Sometimes he just don't feel like trying that hard. Joey goes and he draws a stick figure on a piece of paper, right? And then, he draw it, right? You see that? Look, you may not be able to see it. But then he show it to his mama, right? And instead of his mama coddling him and just ignoring the fact that this boy that she done spent all this money on these art classes just drew a stick figure, instead of her just saying, oh, Joey, oh my goodness, that's just so beautiful. What an amazing stick figure you just drew, sweetheart. Instead of her doing that, Joey's mama lovingly looks at him. And Joey mama tell him the truth. And she says, now I know you can do better. I done paid for you to take these art classes. You've been drawing so well, right? Making progress. I've seen this boy do better. But in this instance, like for whatever reason, Joey chose not to do his best. And he chose to draw some funky little stick figure on a page. And instead of mama coddling him, the mama goes, now, Joey, I know you know how to do better than this. This is unacceptable, son. This is beneath you, son. Why would you draw this? A stick figure? Where was your effort? Right? Like, where was your attention to detail? I've seen you do better than this. That is what Charlie Kirk was to these men. He was the mama that instead of coddling them and affirming them in their foolishness, Charlie crushed their little inferior and inadequate souls with the truth. Okay? A white man who actually had the guts to say, all right now, it's time for you to go on and get up and go on out there and go and do it on your own. You can do it. You don't need a handout. You don't need DEI. You don't need affirmative action. We're all equal image bearers made in the image of God. Come on now, you can do it. I didn't even go to college, so you don't need DEI. This is America. You can do and go wherever you want. Come on, this is the standard. Now rise up and meet the standard, son. That is what made them angry. That's what makes them angry. Charlie unmasked their inferiority, and that's why they hated him. So they take to their pulpits and lash out like little petulant children, running to their mamas to tell them how daddy hurt him feelings, right? These churches are full of a bunch of silly women anyway. So that's who's listening to all this whining. And these women, because they ain't got good sense. They ain't got no man at home to be like, wait a minute, what he's doing? I mean, no, I don't think that's what Charlie's issue was. How did he get racism and white supremacy when Charlie Kirk brought Blaxic, the organization, under the umbrella of TPUSA so he could keep the mission going forward? Charlie employs all of these black people, has platformed all of these black people. We sit as equals and respect one another. Why would he say this? So the women sit in these churches, they're just cheering them on. And I'm telling you, these black preachers and all these other weak black men out here, the idea of freedom causes these weak men grave anxiety. Like it's too much. They have no concept of how to function in their freedom. So that's why they act like a bunch of slaves. You know, walking around like they got whip marks on their back. And then when Massa ain't around, when they get in their little conclave of echo chamber, they act like a bunch of slaves. And then in the next breath, all of that bravado coming out of these pulpits it's all fake. It's just all showmanship. It's fake. Charlie made them nervous because he gave them great anxiety about their inadequacy, and he showed them just how weak and whiny and wretched they truly are. How do we know? Look at all that Charlie Kirk accomplished in 10 years. Like, he came out of nowhere, out of obscurity at 18 years old, killing the game. He was freaking 31 years old at the time of his demise, and Charlie changed the world. He did something that only the Lord can uniquely gift and equip you to do in that amount of time. Charlie was standing on his own, without a college degree, without being born with a silver spoon in his mouth, making these men look weak and inadequate and sad. So are you shocked that they hated him the way that they did? I'm not. I'm actually kind of glad that they're crashing out like this, because it just affirms everything I already believe about them anyway. Okay? Charlie Kirk is everything that they are not. And they are absolutely nothing compared to him. They are just a bunch of loud, obnoxious, annoying little ants. You know, just coming, whenever you leave some crumbs out, if you don't clean the kitchen good, you come down, it's a bunch of little ants, that's them. Just coming after the crumbs. Charlie has one wife, a beautiful family, and Charlie had the ear of the president and the vice president. And here Jamal Bryant is out here. He can't even get a little funky corporate boycott off the ground, making his demands. And they just like, yeah, all right, Negro. You keep thinking that's what you gonna get. Nobody takes his clown looking behind seriously. Corey Turner's wife don't even take that fool serious. Okay, that's my opinion. Okay, but anybody out here listening to Jamal, it's very few. No one's really listening to him. They let him bloat and pontificate. But Jamal only likes white men who give him a lot of excuses to be inadequate. That's why he likes DEI. That's why he had a whole boycott campaign over DEI, because he likes white folks who give him excuses to revel in his inadequacy. That's it. That's it right there. That's why he went up to Target begging and demanding that these white folks give him something, while Charlie Kirk was out here talking about, Negro, go out here and hunt. Go get it for yourself. You bad. Show us how bad you are. You got it, pimping. Since you talking all that big talk and you can do this and do that and you the king and you the head, you're not the tail, show us then. But we never see it, because whining and crying and groveling and begging for crumbs is so much more profitable than going out here and getting it on your own. Jamal wishes he had the influence of Charlie Kirk. Ain't nobody about to have no flag half-staffed when the Lord calls him to his final reward. Or, well, I guess wages of sin is death. So it's what you're going to receive. But Charlie's influence, his wisdom, right? His mass appeal. Jamal wishes he could get in the room and garner the respect of a man like a Charlie Kirk, but it'll never happen. It'll never happen. He ain't nothing but a Baltimore hood rat, transplanted down here in Atlanta, trying to keep a struggling and dying church on life support, begging for money because giving is down. And the only way he knows how to do all of that is to be hateful, evil, and wicked, and to placate to a bunch of other evil and wicked, ignorant Negroes who know maybe 2 or 3 more 3-syllable words than he does. That's how I feel. And that's all there is to it. So, yes, We flew the American flag at half staff. Absolutely. Yes. We mourn the loss of our brother, Charlie Kirk. Jamal, you are not my people. You are of your father, the devil. That's why the deeds of the devil is what we always catch you out here doing. But it's all right, because I rejoice in knowing that Charlie Kirk stood firm in his faith and he finished his race well. We can't say that about you, Jamal Bryant. Here's what I can say, though. Based on how you running reckless out here on this here terra firma, you will face an eternal judgment for every wicked word you have spoken and for every soul that you are deceiving, unless you repent and turn to Christ. So let's call this what it is. Jamal Bryant is not a good man. He's no community leader. He is not a faithful shepherd. He is a tool of the Democrat Party, a deceiver of people, and his lies will not stand. So it was important for me to do this video to expose the abject liar that Jamal Bryant is. And Jamal, you better hope that I don't ever run into you anytime soon. For your sake, I'm just saying, you better pray that my sanctification is where it needs to be that day, okay? Jamal is a liar and a fraud. And if you go to New Birth and you sit and you listen to that demon, you are twice the son of hell as he is. Clip it and share it. I don't care anymore. It needed to be said. But I'm curious to know what some of you think on this topic. I'm not looking for an echo chamber, but anyone can objectively listen to all that Charlie Kirk stood for and what he said, and you cannot walk away after objectively taking in his content and call him a racist or a white supremacist that was divisive, unless you consider, well, hey, truth divides. So there it is. It divides light from the darkness. So it's obvious if you believe that he was divisive, it's because you are of the darkness and you're not in the light. So until next time, stand firm, stay bold, and above all else, stay unshakable. Grace and peace.